I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And this is another Shelfie.
So today, I just thought of this like 3 minutes ago.
Oh.
So I think you're gonna enjoy it though. Something we haven't talked a lot about on this channel, but anybody who knows you knows one of your favorite kinds of books, the graphic novel.
Yes, the graphic novel.
It was just sitting over there, sitting right over there, and I looked and I was like, why don't we talk about Watchmen today?
I can't wait to see how you're going to cram the entirety of the Watchmen into a Shelfie. But please continue.
This is one of Time Magazine's 100 best novels.
Yes.
This is really what got books. We talked about book snobs, whether or not we were a book snob in one of our earliest videos. Mm-hmm. And if you're a comic book snob, you might say this is a graphic novel.
Yeah.
But this kind of is. It's a novel and it's graphic, right?
Well, yeah. It's one of the more popular trade paperbacks, but we'll go with graphic novel so we feel smart.
It's Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and Alan Moore looks like a modern day Rasputin.
He kind of is. He's a self-proclaimed wizard, so there's that.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, he's a stage magician too, I guess. So,
is
Rasputin.
Is he popular with the ladies?
I hope he's popular with his lady. I'll just say
that. So this is, it really is. It's a novel written in graphic form, and to the point where there's plenty of prose because you read through, a number of pages, and then you end up with something called Under the Hood, which goes into more detail.
Yeah, I really wish they would have written an actual book for Under the Hood.
Yeah.
Because Under the Hood is some of my favorite stuff, because the original Night Owl was probably my favorite character in the whole story. For anybody that wants to, that isn't up to speed, I'm a huge comic book fan, and I sort of turned Steve finally into kind of a comic book fan. And this is a great way to bring this up. But I was thinking about doing some comic books in the future, and because I noticed a lot of booktubers do it, so that's going to be a thing that's going to happen later on, down the line. But yeah.
So. Yeah, for those of you that are not familiar with our previous incarnations, we used to not do video so much. We did a lot of audio only, and we did an entire series just on how we got from comic books being, something that was very niche to now it's, or for a while there, I don't know if it's still kind of is. Superman just came out, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like all Hollywood blockbusters are comic book based. have their base in comic book. So we covered a lot of it was sort of like a history of comics that Paul took me through. Watchmen, of course, was a double episode because it took 2 episodes to get through it.
Yes.
But it was all audio, no video. It would be interesting to go back and try to put video to it, but who's got time for that, right?
That's right.
For those that are unfamiliar with Watchmen, first of all, if you've never picked up a comic in your life, what are you doing with your life? But also, this would be a good place to start. It's kind of where I started. Not that I had never read comics before, but it was a good way for Paul to try to get me into it. Basically, it's an alternate universe where, as I guess all superhero comics are alternate universes, right?
Yeah, they could be, yes.
Not to be confused with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Unless it's like the biography of like Abraham Lincoln or something.
Yeah, right. That's true. Or The Walking Dead. Wait, no. So sometime in the 20th century, in the early 20th century, there were this group of superheroes which didn't really have superhuman powers, but they had skills and they had costumes and they had a desire to fight crime.
and a right hook that could floor Captain Axis.
That's right. So they all did superhero stuff, but then it became illegal to do superhero stuff. And so another generation of superheroes came along, but they had to sort of operate in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And there were often demands that the government do something about it. If you've ever heard the phrase, who watches the Watchmen?
Yeah.
This band of superheroes called themselves the Watchmen. And by the way, the name of the book is not The Watchmen, it's Watchmen.
Yeah, it's a pretty common misnomer.
Yeah.
I think she was
Misnomer.
a third grade teacher.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was even going to say third grade. So this group, has to operate sort of in the shadows. And if you've ever heard the phrase "who watches the Watchmen," it was the public outcry of, these people are bad vigilantes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, one of some scientists spends too much time in some sort of nuclear reaction chamber and has his soul ripped apart and put back together.
Yeah.
And that is the character known as Dr. Manhattan, who you may have heard.
It was like a tachyon particle separator, which is like mumbo jumbo, mumbo jumbo, mumbo jumbo. But it sounds so real.
It's funny, tachyons are a theorized particle. They haven't been identified yet, but theoretically, the math works out that it's a particle that can travel back in time because it can go faster than the speed of light. So so apparently they were able to make some tachyons or something, and Dr. Manhattan got infused with them, and now he transcends time and space.
He's a god, basically.
He's a god, yeah. He's a god, and he has that cool mark, the cool mark on his forehead. Another character you may have heard of is Rorschach, who has a mask that looks like a Rorschach test, and it sort of changes on his face. And it's a cool mask, but he is probably the most, when it comes to a set of values and a worldview, he's probably one of the most consistent characters in the whole thing.
And he's probably the most misunderstood character by readers. So.
Yeah, why don't you say a little bit about that?
No, keep going. I don't want to interrupt.
No, do. What do readers think, and then what do you think? Because I was going to mention my son's.
Yes,
when he was in like 6th or 7th grade, he wrote a whole paper on Watchmen. So
yeah, I read it and it's convincing, but he's wrong. But no, a lot of people that don't understand the whole picture of the book think that Rorschach is the voice of reason, and he's the one that's the most identifiable. And like, if you identify with Rorschach, well, actually, if you identify with any of the characters in this book, you might have some problems because none of them are perfect, and that was kind of the point of it. It was like to explore the idea of what makes a person put on a mask and punch another person in the face. It's like,
right,
that concept alone is like so weird. But
what leads you to that point in your life? Who hurt you? That's basically the question, right?
Yes.
Walter Joseph Kovacs, transient. Born 3/21/40. Mother's name, Kovacs, Celia Joanna, née Glick. Father's name, unknown. That's interesting. That anyway, we won't get into that. His last name is Kovacs. Nobody knows his father's name, but his mother's maiden name is not Kovacs. Never noticed that before. Anyway, Rorschach is he believes society is degenerate, depraved, and that they don't deserve him. They don't deserve his help, even though he will be out there helping and killing the degenerates. The general society it's all a symptom of the depravity. Yeah. Which this was written around the Reagan years.
Yes.
And that was
written as a reflection of the Reagan years.
a big conservative talking point that society's depraved, and the 60s caused us all to be sex crazed maniacs, and the only thing that could save us is the violence of the state. So
Yeah.
I do think Rorschach sort of represents that feeling of the people don't deserve it, but I'm going to do it anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah, Rorschach is beloved by libertarians, and he also has this whole creed about, never compromise in anything, but he compromises everything all the time.
Yeah,
He
right.
just doesn't see it.
Yeah, and the point being, like, who is the hero of the story? Not in terms of good hero, but in terms of who is the main character, and who is the character that drives the plot. My 7th grade son, 6th grade, 9th grade, I don't remember how old he was, but anyway, his contention was Rorschach was the character that drove the plot, and he had a whole supporting argument for that.
I mean, it was a good paper. I read it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got hung up on the word hero because he was using it in a literary sense, not in the my hero sense.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, check it out. Watchmen. It's a story that holds together. There's a sub story that's pretty awesome because this little kid likes to go to the comic book stand and read comics. And so there's a whole comic within a comic, a whole novel within a novel.
Yeah.
About that sort of has similar sort of themes. Like what would you do to get back to your loved ones? Like, or to save your loved ones, or to save yourself. What depths would you go to? So yeah, so I say check it out. It's pretty good. We do have an in-depth review. Like I said, it was probably 45 minutes to an hour episodes. When we covered it in depth. So we might pull that out of the archives at some point and reissue it. But in the meantime, Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons. Which one was the artist? Which one was the writer?
Alan Moore was the writer. Dave Gibbons is the artist.
Gotcha.
We could go into it more in depth in new episodes. So if anybody's interested in that, we'd be happy to, do issue by issue.
Absolutely. Graphic novels are novels, and comic books are books.
So Steve, on a scale of 4 and 3 and 2 and 1.
Since I decided to stop giving numbers above 4, I'm just going to stick with 4. But I would definitely give it higher than a 4 if I had not disallowed that.
All right. Well, then for Rorschach, the Minutemen, Silk Spectres 1 and 2, the little kid reading the comic. I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And this has been The Wrong Ending. The next time you're looking for something to read,
check your shelf.